Okay, we began the sugya of kinyanim, and we saw that there's a kinyan called kinyan agav, where if you have made a purchase or a matana in karka and metaltalin, that you can make the kinyan of kesef shtara chazaka, which does not help for metaltalin, but does help for chazaka. It would help for both. In other words, you would kind of metaltalin agav the karka. And the Gemara had a shaila: do you need the metaltalin siburin in the karka? Do you need it that it should be on top of the karka at the time of the kinyan in the karka? We try to be pushed to the shaila, and we were not successful. And now we're continuing on, and we're on the chavav amid beis, and that's where we're going to go to continue to try to figure out if there's you need siburin or not. So we have 3 lines from the bottom on chavav amid beis, and we're trying to figure out: do you need siburin by what? By kinyan agav. Tashma ma'isa b'Rebbe Gamliel usakanim shayibayim b'svina. Now I'm going to go through the raya, and then I'll go back and exactly figure out this gemara. It's a very difficult mishnah in Ma'aser Sheni. So there's a ma'isa b'Rebbe Gamliel and Sakanim. They were coming in a boat, and Rabbi Gamliel, according to Rashi, had failed to go ahead and separate his ma'aser. So Amalem Rabbi Gamliel is Sakanim. He said to the people, the elders on the boat, Iser Shani Asid Lamed, the ma'aser that in the future I'm going to measure out, Nasala Yeshua. The ma'aser Rishon should go to Yeshua, and Yeshua was a Levi. And how did he facilitate giving it to Yeshua? Umakoma Muskaloy. And the place where that ma'aser Sheni is, ma'aser Rishon, that place where that ma'aser Rishon is rented to him. So now they're being kaina l'chayra agav the place. So now Rai is going to be that you need siburin because he's renting the place exactly where the ma'aser Rishon is. The Iser Acher and the other Maisa, this is the 3rd or the 6th year, so it was a Maisa on a year as opposed to Maisa Sheni year. The Iser Acher Shani Asalamay Nasalay Lakiva Ben Yosef, who was the Gabbai Tzedakah, Kadesh Yiska by Laniyim, Umakame Muskaloy. So l'chayra, when you're renting out the place to them, you see that kinyan agav, you need the object of the metaltalin should be on the karka. Shmami Nabin Tziburin, but it says Shani Hasam. In other words, really, Bemis, you do not need it to be, but in order that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya should not feel pressure to take it, he rented them that spot. So whenever you get around to taking it, you're taking it, but it could remain there. So it was more of a chesed type of a aspect of this Maisa rather than a halakhic need of the Maisa. So it wasn't that it had to be on top of it, it was making it easy for them. Now exactly what transpired over here, let's digress a little bit. What exactly is going on over here? We have a Gemara Mefurish in Masechta, I think it's in Pesachim, that says that we have a chaver will never leave chazaka. If it's going to leave this hand, it had to be taken off Trumas Maisa. It's not possible that it wasn't. So how is it possible that Rabbi Gamliel could have gone ahead and left the field without taking off Trumas Maisa? That's one huge kasha. So Tosfos says again, a tremendous amount of kashas on this sugya. Let's just see a few of them. Maisa Rabbi Gamliel. Let's see the Tosfos. Maisa Rabbi Gamliel Sakanim. Pierce B'Kuntris. Rabbi Gamliel like Tarim. He hadn't separated Meiser, the Shakach, and he forgot. He hadn't appointed a Shliach. He was quickly going ahead to take off the Truma while he was on the boat, the Meiser while he was on the boat. And they'll eat from it. They'll be Simech on Rabbi Gamliel that he had separated Trumas and Meiser. The Chazak al Chav she'ena moitzi mitachas yod davar she'ena mituken. The kashadim came, Mahoyamoel Tikunu Adarabba, Gorik Fish, Shemi Yochel B'nei Beisai, they'll eat everything. So in that, Tosfos answers, maybe there's more than, no, it's not exactly that amount, there's more. The bottom line is, how is that possible? And he goes on, he asks a bunch of questions. Okay, let's go to Vam Rabbeinu Tam, 3 lines from the bottom, in the middle of Tosfos. Vam Rabbeinu Tam, Sheshas Bir Hoya. It's not speaking about what? That he hadn't separated Trumas and Maisa. It's speaking of the time of removal. The 3rd and the 6th year, when people have to take all their meiser to the house and get it to the right location. So speaking b'shas bir, shayitzarch levar meiser So therefore, in other words, he wasn't separating Ma'aser Sheni now, fellas. He wasn't separate. It was separated already. It was separated already. He just wanted, it was Shas beer, and that's what he wanted to give it. It's very meduyik like that. If the famous Ma'aser of Brera, they say, it says the amount. A tenth should be Ma'aser Rishon, and 9 if it should be Ma'aser Sheni. He gives an amount. Over here, he's not giving an amount. He's just saying Isa, the Ma'aser. The Ma'aser. So why does it say the Ma'aser? Because he already was Ma'aser. He already was Mafish Ma'aser. And it's speaking Zman beer to get rid of the Ma'aser. It's meduyik like Taisus very much. So Taisus, Machlokes Rashi and Taisus had learned Pshat the Sugya. Like Rashi, he's being Mafish Lechatchila the Ma'aser. Like Taisus, right? He was already Hufrish already. All he's doing now is Zman beer, the mitzvah of getting rid of it. Now, if you're Medayik, it doesn't say anything about Truma Gedoyla, fellas. It doesn't say anything about Truma Gedoyla. And we know the first thing you take off in Hafrosh is Trumas Semaisa, is Truma Gedoyla. Over here, it doesn't. He's not getting rid of Truma Gedoyla. So if you look at Taisus Chav Zayin Amid Aleph, the second thin line, Vim Taimar, Lama Inu Maski Truma Gedoyla Bahu Ma'aser Rabbi Gamliel. Why don't we mention Truma Gedoyla in this Ma'aser Rabbi Gamliel? Right? We're not mentioning anything about Truma Gedoyla. So let's skip down. Let's see his teretz. His teretz is. It says it's about 3/4 of the way down in Taisus is V'yesh Leima. The first word in the line is that Truma. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lines from the bottom of Taisus. V'yesh Leima. The Vadei Truma Hifish Ba'ida B'Sadeh. Vadei Truma, he took off while it was in the field. The Regilas Hula Hafish B'Goyrin. As soon as it was heaped up, they would go ahead and take it off. V'yislam L'Meimah Shehifish Ba'id Hoisa Tfua B'Goyrin Miyad Achami Ruach. As soon as they piled it up, they took up the Truma Gedoyla. Truma Gedoyla was Misa B'dei Shemayim, was a problem. So they would take it off right away. So that's why it's not mentioned over here in the Maisa. So again, regarding our Shiloh, whether you need Sibur or not, it's mashma here you need Sibur, and the answer is no. He just wanted to make it that they wouldn't feel pressure to take it because they had a place to keep it. And regarding the whole Mishnah in Maisa Oni, Maisa Sheni, how to go ahead and learn Pshat. This Mishnah, we have Machlokes Rashi and Taisus. According to Rashi, he was separating Trumas and Maisa. According to Taisus, he was Mevaer. He was getting rid of the Maisa that was already there, not the Trumas and Maisa. I didn't say the word Truma. He was getting rid of the Maisa that was already there, and that's okay. Meanwhile, we still have a Shiloh.
How does Rashi explain that he didn't take it off? That a cover takes it off.
Again, it's a kasha. It's a kasha Rashi. You have to answer Rashi up. Again, I didn't do the next step. Hashma, the Amar Rav Yitzchak, Amar Rav, Shnei Shtaris Hain. Okay, there's 2 dinim in Shtaris. What are the 2 dinim in Shtaris? Zacha b'sadazu leplani. In other words, make a chazak in this field for somebody. The cross will a shtar, and I'll write you a shtar as a proof to that transaction. So I say to Ari, do me a favor, Ari. I'm making a sale to Heshi. Go ahead and be machze, go be zeich in the field for him, and I'm going to write a shtar. Choyze b'shtar, I can have charot in the shtar, ve'in a choyze b'sada, and I can't be choyze in the sada. I can't be choyze in the sada. Now you might ask, why in the sukkiyas? So good, I can't be choyze in the shtar. Who cares about the shtar? If I lost the field, I lost the field, right? Why does it make a difference? The shtar is a raya ba'alma. So you look at the bottom of Taisus, fellas. Choyze b'shtar ve'in a choyze b'sada. In timer, since I don't get the field back because the kinyan was made in the field, so good, I don't get shtar, but who cares? Shlema says Rashi, it's not good for a shtar to come out on my head. You know what? It gets out on Zillow, right? It gets out on Zillow, you sold your house, right? And what's the reason I sold my field? Because I must be impoverished. Because I'm selling everything. Well, Yimtza Malva, and I won't be able to get a loan. So in other words, the sharks are in the water, right? The sharks smell the blood. So it's very good for a shtar not to come out. Why? Says Taisus Geshmak. Because if a shtar comes out, it comes public knowledge that I'm selling fields. Why am I selling fields? It must be because I don't have money. And that's not good because I want to go ahead. I need a good credit rating to go ahead and to make a halva. So very geschmack says, so that's why you can be chayz b'shtar. That's going to ensure that the sale will be more clandestine. People will know about it. Okay, so that's very geschmack. Now, getting back to asugya, what does this have to do with agav? Nothing. The raya is from the next case. So we have two. So one case. First case is that what you zoich in the field, then you say right a star. You can't be zoich fun of right. Ari was zoich for Heshi, and that was it. Now, what about this one? Al menashe ticht v'lo star. Be zoich in the field. Al menas that I'll write a star. And chayz bein b'shtar bein b'sada. Since it's contingent upon the writing of the star, once I'm chayz b'shtar, so I'm chayz b'sada. There's nothing to do with Ashayla. Why do we here? This is the case. Here's what we need. Rav Huna, Sholish Shtar is saying there's three dinim in Shtaris. Trey Hod Amar, and the first two that we said that you're zoich in the field. Second one that's Almanas on the star. It's contingent upon the star. And Idach, the third one, which is what we need. Im Kodam Moicher, before the sale, the Moicher goes ahead. The cost of Leas a star, right? He writes the star. You can write a star for the seller, even though the moich is not there. The buyer is not there. That's what we need, guys. As soon as you're zoicha in the field, wherever the star that was written already, right? There's no charata. You have two cases, right? One, zoich in the star, you have charata. Zoich in the field, charata in the star. Second case, the sale is contingent upon the star. A third case, the star preceded the actual mechira. The star preceded the actual mechira, which you're allowed to do. Then you go ahead. Once you make the chazak in the field, the star, you acquire the star wherever it is, which is our raya. How are you acquiring the star, fellas? Kinyan agav. What do you see? B'chol makom shehu. You do not need siburin. This is going to be the raya that you don't need siburin, guys. This is going to be the raya that you don't need siburin from this case. So says the Gemara, kim shehifstak imay bekarka. Shmamina loy beinin siburin. Shmamina, you do not need siburin. Says no, maybe not. Shiny star afsira the arahu. Maybe you do need siburin, but the star is considered the afsar. It's considered the reins of the karka. In other words, it's considered connected to the karka. It's such a piece of the transaction. It's considered connected to the karka. Fred Gemara v'alok ketani. On this case of we learned when you coin in the karka, you coin in the star. How does this work? How does this work? The chosim shein lemachrayis niknimim the chosim sheish lemachrayis bekesef b'shtar b'chazaka. Shmamino loy bein in sibur and shmamino. In other words, that's your raya. Because it said, how does this work? It works. It's not working because some way the star is the afser of the karka. It's working because of kinyan agav. So l'chayr you have a raya brewer that you not need siburin, and that is the halacha. Iboilahu. Me being an agav aloy. Do you have to say agav when kinyan agav when you do it? Do you have to say it? Tashmadik tani kolhani. We learned all the cases above. Like tani agav. We didn't mention agav. Well, tamech kani mikatani. We didn't learn kani either, right? Ella ada amma kani hakanami ada amma agav. It's not mentioned, but it's a double pashit. You have to say bikoina and agav. The hilchas halach is sibur and loybinin. You don't need siburin and agav kni boinin, but you do need agav and kni. You have to say that. Iboilu sada b'mechon with taltal matana. Now, until now, we've been discussing l'chayra either a matana or a mecha, but both the kinyan, it was on the same level of transaction. You were selling karka, you were selling metaltalin, or you were giving away karka, you were giving away metaltalin. Can you mix and match? Can you go ahead and sell karka and give matana metaltalin? Mahu toshma isa shani asid lamud. The ma'aseh I'm going to take off in the future. Nasan li Yeshua should give the Yeshua u'mekayim miskoloi. So l'chayri you have a raya. The land which is rented to him is like a mecher. The ma'aseh that you're giving to him is a matana. So you have a raya by kinyan agav that you could be koina matana of metaltalin agav the mechira of karka. Shmamino you have a raya. Iboilahu sada le'echad metaltalin le'acher. Mahu. What about can you mix and match people? Until now we're discussing maybe it's only one individual. Does a kinyan agav work what by two different people? So toshma is a raya from the latter part of the case. Toshma from the latter part of the case. Isa shani asid lamoid. Nosim Akiva ben Yosef Kidei Sheyiska Boila Aniyim. Right, so Akiva ben Yosef is acquiring for other people. So what do you see? You could acquire for other people. So l'chay have a raya says no, my muskah is muskah l'maisa. It doesn't mean it's right. It's not Rabbi Akiva's, but it's muskaf for the aniyim, for them, they themselves. Shiny Rabbi Akiva the Araniyim happy. He's considered the Aniyim, he's the Araniyim. So you have no raya that you can be koina aga for somebody else. Not from this case, you don't have a raya. Because it either be that it was rented for the Aniyim, or Rabbi Akiva is considered the Araniyim. Amarava. Laishanu, the din of agav, we did not learn. In other words, Ella shenasin demei kulan. When you pay for it, you get the whole, you're paying for the whole metaltalin. You're not paying for part of metaltalin, you're paying for the whole metaltalin. But if you don't pay for the whole thing, you're only kind of connected the mois. Where do we learn aga from, guys? Look at Chav Vav and Aleph for a second. Chav Vav and Aleph, about 6 lines to the bottom. Not immediately. How do you know there's such a thing as king and agav? He gave him matanos along with the Mitzvahs Behuda. So he gave him karka, and along with the karka, he gave him matanos. So there's we learn a kinyan agav from. That's the source of kinyan agav. It's by the Melech Yehoshaphat. It's by Melech Yehoshaphat. Says the Taisus Rosh on this Gemara that since agav is a really, really very poor kinyan, it's not a great kinyan. Think about it. It's not a lichat chiladik kinyan. Usually a kinyan is on the object itself, be it the karka or the metalflin. Here you're getting agav one, you're getting the other. It's a shvacha kinyan. So the only dinyan we have to it is similar to Yehoshaphat, where he gave the full amount. When you're not giving the full amount, you only kind of connect that amount because that's the source you learn from. You gave the full amount. That's the way the Taisus Rush learns pshat in Rava. Like Shana, we did not learn that kinyan agav works for the metaltlin el keneged moisa. Tiny kavasi the Rava Araya. Yafa koyach hakes. Now we have kesef shtar v'chazaka. We're going to compare all three. Yafa koyach hakesef mikoyach hashtar, mikoyach hashtar mikoyach hakesef. Yafa koyach hakesef shai kesef pointing by hekdeshos. Kesef is better than shtar because kesef can be poid the hekdeshos. So ma'aser sheni, mashen can be shtar. You can be poid the hekdesh and ma'aser sheni. Yafa koyach hashtar shashtar meitzim bas yisrael. A shtar can facilitate a divorce where kesef, a woman can't be divorced with kesef. Mashen can be kesef. We have koyach chazaka. They're both kesef and shtar have a milo over chazaka, right? That we have koyach chazaka and koyach shneim. Yav koyach shneim shneim koyim be'eved ivri. Kesef and shtar work by eved ivri. Mashen ki bechazaka does not work by eved ivri. Again, we're all experts in this by now. Yav koyach chazaka shechazaka works mochales esesodais besamedinos. If you sell 10 pieces of land in 10 different locales. 10 different countries. Once you do a kinyan chazak in one of them, kind of kulam amid base, you kind of all of them. Once you do a kinyan in one, you kind of want all of them. Okay. Right? When does it work? Right? Is only when you kind of what? When you give the make kulan. Says Rashi. Which is not next to it. This mansion us lays to make kulan. That's the raya. Okay, in other words, we're going to bring a raya from here, but we're not going to mention metaltalin at all. But as we just saw in the previous Gemara, we paskin that metaltalin does not have to be next to it. So we're having the same thing over here. I'm being a koiner kinyan chazaka in this land. And being kind of all lands that are different places. This is the same as metaltlin that's not required siburin. That does not require siburin, right? So in Bela, very good shmak. If I can be kind of what? Provided to make kulan that you gave, you bought each parcel of land for $10,000, you had to give $100,000. If you only gave $90,000, you would not get all the land. You only get 9 pieces of land. So, and that's the raya to Rava that you'd have to give to make kulan. Again, it's not speaking about metaltlin, but it's a raya to Rava. Okay. There's Gavaldic Kasha. Says Taisus in Playmat, even without chazaka, you gave money. Once, in other words, why'd you learn a kinyan chazaka, fellas? If you gave, it's speaking out to give the worth of all of them, correct? So if karka is, guys, when we say kesef doesn't work, that's only by metaltalin. How do you coin a karka? Kesef shtar v'chazaka. Frek Tosfos, why do you have to be machzik in all the lands, fellas? If it's speaking that you had to give to make kulan, so obviously it should work mitam kesef. You get a kasha? And for Taisus, the Yeshlema, the Mari Ba'asra of the Loikona B'Kaspa. It's speaking about a place where they didn't use Kesef. Okay, it's speaking of the place they didn't use Kesef. Okay, the bottom line, we have a raya. Continue to Gemara along, Messiah the Shmuel, this din that you kind of karka in a chazak in one place, you kind of all over, is a raya to Shmuel, Dama Shmuel. Machalei esa sadais besa medinais. If you go ahead and sell 10 sadais and 10 medinais, you're selling. Kiman shehichzik bachsmen koines kulan. That's right. Okay, so Rabbi and Shmuel are in the same way of thinking. Amar Vachabe Ravika Teda Shilu Masloi Esa Behemais Ba'Abser Echad. If you give 10 animals in one rein, okay, what's it speaking about? Let's see Taisvis. Esa Behemais Ba'Abser Echad Nira the Irish Shekulan Kishurim Ba'Abser Echad. All the animals are tied in one rein. However, he's not holding that one rein. And he's holding on to a hoof, or here, shall achas mehin of one of them. Aren't you kind of all of them? If he's holding on to the reins of all of them, fellas, we're going to bring a raya that 10 animals, you kind of like 10 lands. The 10 lands are totally separate, correct? If you have all the reins together and you're holding on to the reins, it's not a similar case because you're holding on to all 10 of the animals. So it must be speaking where the animals are tied together and you're holding on to the hair of one of the animals, and that's similar to you're holding on to the machzik in one of the lands. So that's Taisus very meduyak the case. Says the Gemara. So Amar Rav Acha Beid Ravika Teda Shilu Maslei Esa Behemus Ba'Aser Echad Nimri Kni Milei Kana. They're in his hands. That's one way to learn. That you don't acquire. You say, be kind of this one. Be kani, right? Would you acquire the others? Over there, the reason you only acquire this one and not the others is because they're separate bodies. Must be speaking that we'll look the land as one piece of land, even though they're in different medinas. I guess this is maybe in Europe and Babel, it was not even. I guess if there's a sea underneath the sea, you would have the land being connected. So it's not a good sushtel. We're saying the following: we're saying that even though if you're holding 10 animals and you say this one I should be kaina, it's different than if you go ahead and say amachzik in this piece of land. The animals are separate bodies. This land you can view as one piece of land, despite the fact they're in different locales. Okay, that ends the sugya of what of agav. We brought in the last end of the Mishnah, the opposite. By agav, it's the karka that's going ahead and be mechayiv the metaltalin. By gilgul shvua, it's the shvua on the metaltalin that will schlep in the karka. English boy al karkois. One of the we're going to learn out. That's Hashem in Masechta Shvuas. There's a halacha of Einish Boin al Karkois. You can't, it's Klalu Pratu Klau. In order to make a shua, it has to be done with Metaltal, the Gufay Momin, and it's not. So what happens if I have a transaction with somebody and I chayiv a shua? Let's say the following. I say I sold you land and I gave you $1,000. And you say you only gave me 500. So And the land, I say that what no, it doesn't exist. The land either gave me this parcel land, or I say there's no land at all. I say it never happened. Since you chayiv a shvua on the metaltalin, right? You'll be magalgal a shvua on what? On the karka, even though nishman karkos. So it's a play off the previous din, albeit the exact opposite. It's called gilgul shvua. Lashon gilgul is the roll, right? We have a gilgul is someone is neshama that comes back, it rolls back, right? It's reused. So this is a shvua that's like reused. Okay, now we want to know where is the idea of gilgul shvua from? It was kukum and nechasim amar ula minayin legilgul shvua min ha'torah shnema. We learn from the isha saita. What does it say about the isha saita? V'amar isha amen amen. She says twice amen amen. B'tnan amahi omeres amen 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 al ha'ala. She says amen on the Allah that her knees, if she was guilty, her knees are going to her stomach will explode and the eyes will break whenever. Amen ala shvua, and that's amen on the shvua that she was not tamei. Amen ala shvua that she was not disloyal to her husband. Amen im ish zeh. Amen, only the person you were warned about. Amen mishacha, that you didn't have an illicit relation with another man. Not only the man that the husband warned you about, even another man. Amen shalai satisi arusa, an amen that you didn't turn away when you were an arusa before your husband consummated the marriage with Kidushin, with a nesuin, unasua, shemeres yavam, uknusa. 4 different cases. In the case of you weren't mizana when you were a arusa, you weren't mizana when you were nesua, you weren't mizana when you shemeres yavam, you weren't mizana knusa when you were what? The shemeres yavam is considered knusa because she was of the zika, so she's already shtickle married. Now we're going to bring a raya from the case of arusa. Hi arusa hechidami. What exactly is the case of arusa that you're saying that you're drinking the water and saying amen on that? Again, you're drinking the water. You're saying amen before you drink the water on what? On the fact that she wasn't mizana when she was in arusa after she mekabel Kidushin from this man. Hechidami. Ilay mit the kanila kishehi arusa. He warned her when she was in arusa. Kina b'stira. He had to warn her. He warned them. And he said, "Arusa, not be behind closed doors with this individual." And then she was, and you have Eidim. She was the kamash keleke arusa, and that means and give it a drink when she's in arusa. Says the Gemara, that can't be. But now we learned in the Mishnah, arusa b'shemeres yavam le'shoisis v'le'noitlis kasuba my taima tachas ishech omrachmana v'leka. She has to be tachas ishech. A shemeres yavam, even though it's in a zika, and arusa, even though she's an eshes ish, but she's not tachas ishech. She's not living with the husband yet. It's before nesuin, before chuppah. They're not living together. So therefore, that can't be the case of arusa, because in that case, the saita would not drink. So you're telling me this is the case of Alma when she's drinking. This can't be the case of arusa where she's drinking, because she's not tachas ishech. Ella, the kanila kashi arusa, you warned her when she was in arusa. Vinistera kashi arusa. However, the kamashakila kashi nesua. So what happened? When she was arusa, you warned her not to be behind closed doors, and then she was behind closed doors with this guy. And then she became a nesua. Usually when she comes to nesua, what happens? Her husband lives with her, correct? And now what's the husband do? He's going to give it a drink. Why do we know about Masech Saita? If he lives with her after she possibly had lived with another man, she doesn't drink. Says the Gemara, Mi Batkila Maya, would the water work? The man has to be squeaky clean. And he's not, because he lived with her after she'd been with another man. Amrachmana. And he lived with her after she was another man, she was also to him, then he's not menuka me'avin. So the bottom line is, what is exactly the case of arusa? And somehow we're going to bring this into what? A Gilgal Shua. Ella must be al yedei Gilgal. It must be that what? You're going to be al yedei Gilgal. Okay. Meaning, Rashi, first white line, Gilgal, Shekina la kashina sua. He warned her after they were married and living together. Don't be with this guy behind closed doors. Finistera, and she was. Now, umidgalgan aleh shvua al erisin. And when she says amen, it means anyone that you were with, the guy I warned you with afterwards, and someone who possibly you would have been with when you were in Arusa. Afa pishlei hayaroyin l'shvua, if the atzman, even though she couldn't have made a shvua when she was in Arusa, because she wasn't tachas ishech. Sharei kina, and he didn't warn her. V'ikasha havili l'ukmi b'dekani. Okay, so guys, so let's get to the case. Right before Rashi asks this question, okay? You want to know what Gilgal Shvua is? I'll tell you. It says Amen al Arusa. Amen when she was in Arusa. How do you have the case of an Arusa? It must be he's giving her to drink when she was in the Suah, and he was Mekanaha when she was in the Suah. And now, al yedei Gilgal, we're going to go ahead and be Megalgal the Shvua on the fact when she was in Arusa, where she didn't get kinoi. So you see the concept of Gilgal Shua, because in the Arusa part it wasn't Shaykh Shua. Now we're Shaykh Shua will be Megalgal. So this is the source midaraisa for Gilgal Shua. That's the end of tonight's share. Let's see Rashi now. Continues Rashi. V'ikasha havile leukmi b'dekani le'arusa. You gave a kina not as an asua, as an arusa. The starter, and she was behind closed doors with this guy. Umashkala mishnichnas the chuppah, and you gave her to drink after chuppah before bia. So now what? The karina made tachas isheich ukigan shlei ba aleha. In other words, what was the two problems with the previous two cases? If she was totally arusa, it's not tachas ishech. If it was when she was in the suah, it's v'niksei shmei. So I have the case of an arusa. In other words, and it's not gilgul shvua. You went ahead, you warned her when she was in arusa, and she had steer when she was in arusa, and then you're giving her to drink after chuppah before bia. Is she tachas ishech? Yes. Is he menuka me'avin? Yes. So how do you know gilgul shvua? Bam kasha from Rashi. Continues Rashi. Her boy look me hachim besechli yavamis. Vo'isvinu Allah mi baladei ishech shekod mashchiva bal liboyo. It has to be she had relations with someone aside from her husband. What does it mean, guys? Listen to the words. She had relations with someone aside from her husband. Mashma that what? She had relations with her husband before this. It had to be mibala. Aside from her husband, she had relations. So it had to be that she was with her husband. In this case that you're giving me, the husband wasn't boiler yet, correct? So that can't be the problem. The kasha is asked in Masechta Yavamis, and it's not shekod meshchiv bala boil. V'lo shekod meshchiv boil bala. Hilkach ein lechol hashpia al znushel erisin b'shum inyan el ayidei gilgul. Right? There's no way you could have making her drink on an illicit relation she had when she was in Arusa, only Ali de Gilga. There's no other Hekatimsa. Guys, let's go through it. If everything took place when she was in Arusa, she wasn't Tachasi Sheikh. If everything took place when she was in Arusa and then he's giving her the drink after he married her and lived with her, he's not clean from oven. If you want to tell me that what? That he warned her when she was in Arusa, she was behind closed doors when she was in Arusa, and he's giving her the drink after the chuppah before Bia, so now she's Tachas Ishech. And if she's Nixamay oven, there's another problem. It has to be mibaladech isha, mibaladech ishech. It's got aside from ishech, your husband. It has to be that you had relations aside from someone, the husband. In this case, she didn't have relations with her husband yet. Therefore, the only case is the case that we gave, the case of Gilgul Shvua, where everything took place when she was in a slua. In the suah, very good. The suah she's drinking, and you'll be megalzel in the suah at the arusa. That's Hashem. Tomorrow morning, probably about 9:30. I guess slichas tomorrow. Everyone's a little tired. About 9:30.